start the ball rolling with the sky. And as you all know by now, we start with the white. We're going to have a nice blue. Well, I say blue, I'm going to put grey in as well, so we can have a little bit of colour in the sky. We've got a lot of it, so you've got to be careful with the clouds. You can't make too many variations of cloud, but we'll be putting some of it in. Now I'm going around this building, and the reason is that we don't want to crush the paper, because I'm going to work on that once I finish the sky. And another little tip for you, you're probably like me, you get lots of little whites. And this is a good opportunity to use them up. You need the pointed whites for detailed work, but when you've got areas like this, you don't. I won't do it all, I'll just do this little bit to show you, and it's the most difficult bit going around the little building here. And we'll be using our colour shaper in a minute to push that in. I've got to make sure though I cover it all and get as much pastel in as you can without pushing hard. So try to get into the grooves. The reason is that we've got a really nice surface here for the next colours to go on. Okay, then blend it with your finger and you can see how nice that looks. See the difference? Doesn't matter that you rub over the building, you ain't going to get round it, that's for sure, with the white anyway. And then I would just tend to put another layer on that, because I really do want this to have a light, very lightish sky to set the building and the cliff against. So another, they don't have to be as strong as the last one, but it just makes sure that you've got a really good colour. There you go, like that, and that all the way along there. Nearly finished. You'll notice that what I've done with the white is I put the white over the top of this end cliff here and rubbed it in. Now the reason being, that's quite a distance, so what I should be doing there is putting other colours on top of it, other sky colours on top of it, so we get a really good distance effect. Okay, great. So the next colour I'm going to use will be the grey. This is 230. I want to put this in just to soften the blue a little bit. The blues can sometimes be a bit rich, so just a little bit of grey on top of the white. Doesn't have to be solid, and you don't really have to come down any further than about there. I think that would be okay, and then just rub that in. It just takes the whiteness off of the white, you see what I mean? And could you get away with not using the white? No, you couldn't. That's the effect that we want. Okay, now what we're going to do now, start the ball rolling with the sky, and then just leave a little bit of cloud like that. I want to go across the building with the sky because I've got plans to make that light-ish. So there we are. See, that will lie. I mean, you know by now you can't shape a cloud. You have to put it back in again, which I shall do. But that will do for the time being. Now come along here, and then we'll have some more cloud, and that can. I would try to come from, say, there. And again, we've got a white cliff, so we need to have some strength against it. Open the cloud up like that, and maybe another one over there. Now you can make your own up. I never dictate on the skies. They're a very personal thing, and you do what you think. Now when you come down here, I'm being very light down here. I don't want that to be too strong. Let me show you what I mean. Now that is just about the right tone. Now I don't want to make that any darker. Okay, oh, I like this. I like that idea there. You see the cloud coming in from there. But actually, I might. Let's just rub it and see how it all pans out. You see, as I said, you can't, because you're rubbing with your finger, there's no way you're going to get the cloud looking anywhere near natural. Now we can deepen that a little bit more. We're going to really get that sky there quite dark. You see, if I put light on that, it's not going to show up that much, but then I don't want to make it too light. Dilemma. Okay, well, we creep up on it in that case. Now what I'm going to put is more blue at the top, just about where that cloud ends, and I'm going to leave it at that, because I don't want it to come too far down. The idea is to try to make this sky recede to very light at the bottom. Now, so the way to do that is to use another colour. So I'm going to use, this is 151. Now you don't want to press too hard, but this is quite a strong colour. And that will go at the top. And just, when you're not quite sure, just do a little bit. Don't do too much. Don't do the whole sky, in case you change your mind. And just rub that in. It would be useful if you could see that, folks. Sorry about that. Now you see, and then you can bring that colour down with your finger into the rest of it, because you've still got, you'll drag it down, and then you look at it and think, is that good enough? I think it probably is. I don't think I want it darker than that. So that's it. No, let's do it again over here. Drag it down. You have to push quite hard with this when you're doing it, because it's do I like that cloud? I think I do. I like that cloud, because we can make that something of that later on. Don't want more than that. And drag it down. Do I like that? I think I do. Let's put a little bit more blue in between. I like the base though. No, that's about right. Okay. So what do we do now? Well, we have to develop the clouds. I think I'm really happy with that. I like the way there's sort of like hidden cloud there, which I kind of like the idea of. So what do we do now? We get our magic rubber, and first thing really is to take off all of the pastel from the cliff. Save your rubber wearing out, because they do. What I usually do is I go so far, and then I use my big eraser, soft eraser, to get rid of that. Leave that one though. Okay, now we're back again here, go right along, and we want to rub the building out. Now if this is in graphite, you've got to be a bit careful here. I would use, and what I did use here was an HB pencil, because an HB is just that little stronger and tougher, and you can find that you don't have to, it doesn't rub out as well as the B softer leads. There we go, might as well do all of that now. Along here, that's it, and then soft rubber to take the bulk of that off. So now we've got the cliff and the building exposed, and let's get some work done on the sky. Use your rubber on the areas of cloud that you've decided to leave. I don't think any want any more than that. Then use your white pencil put the bulk of the cloud in. A few trailing bits. Now, because you're putting it on top of the erased area, it's going to look nice and sharp. The colour is going to look sharp. But here, where it touches the blue, you can just whittle it down and you get a kind of an underbelly of cloud. You know what I mean by that? It means that it's slightly darker tone at the bottom. Now I think that's sweet enough. Let's just do our little magic with our colour shaper. Doesn't matter which one you use here. I'm going to choose to use my soft ivory one. And here you can then drag some of that underbelly of cloud up like that, and you get the cloud looking a more natural part of the picture. Okay, we can make it just a bit stronger if we want. Don't want to do too much more. I think that is really sweet. Okay, so that's got that. Now the other one, we need a little bit, work it a little bit more on. I like that being blue. I think I'm going to bring some more blue in there. And that gives my building, it does mean to say I've got to go over that building again and remove it, but don't ever leave anything wanting. It's got to be right. And here we want this cloud to be much stronger. But the same basic idea of using the undercolour. I've only introduced this fairly recently. I used to put grey on, but you don't really need to do that on a sky like this anyway, which is very light, like sunny day. Don't get too many of them in the UK. Now you see how I've fashioned that? And the great thing about the pastel pencil is you can change your mind at any time you wish. I think I like the idea of a little break in there. Little blue in there. And then we can stretch it down just a little bit so it doesn't all look too... see, that looks quite natural, doesn't it? Now, what about down here? Well, you can put cloud on top of the blue here. I'll show you that in a minute, because that's further away. So let's just do one, then I'll complete the rest off camera. Again, some little trail is a nice idea. Sometimes a little break, a little blue in the middle. It's quite nice. I don't want that to quite reach that one. Okay. Now use your colour shaper just to whittle some of that back up. take some of that blue off. Oh, as it transfers into the white up here. That's nice and soft. Very subtle changes of tone in there. Down here we want to bring that blue and white together. Good. There's another one done. So I'll do these. I won't bore you and keep going over the same thing. Down here though, I was telling you we can put some cloud in. Well, we can do that by just going on top. It doesn't matter now that it's weaker because it looks better. And then back here, I wouldn't do too much. I think just a little bit of distant cloud in there would look quite nice. But I don't think I do anymore. At least you can, at any time at all, you can add more if you want. There's nothing else going into the sky. Oh, that's nice. Once we get the rest of the cloud done and these cliffs, that's going to look really good. Anyway, let me do that. Now there we are. There you go. Now I'm going to add some more colours to the cloud. A little bit of ivory. And I've put a little bit of grey in here. You probably can just pick it out. I'll show you in a minute how I did that. But I think I want the ivory to begin with. Just a little bit. It just makes the clouds look a little bit more attractive. And I also put a bit of pink in. This is the light pink 132. And that's for the same reason I put the ivory in. I don't want any more of that. I think that's fine. Let me show you how I did this grey. On the area that I was telling you that I used the white to blend in, and then the colour shaper to blend in the blue. You put just a little base on. You can in fact put it into the cloud, and I'll show you how that works too in a minute. Like that. Doesn't have to always be. Don't worry about these. I don't think I'll worry about that one. That looks good. Just a little bit of cloud. It just adds a little bit of depth, and then you use your colour shaper to blend that in. And then you use the white pencil back again just to put a little bit of extra. You can cut into the white that you've got there, which adds just a little bit more depth. I don't think I want any more in that. I think that looks pretty good. So, sky done. Next job is, I think I will do this little bit first, and then do the building. I was going to do the building, but I'll do this bit.